I will be speaking about API platform and an in-depth tour of API platform tree. So first, let me present myself. I'm Antoine Bluchet. You can find me online under the username Soyuka. I'm a principal engineer at l'ETL, which is a French company. I'm also a core contributor to API platform. And let me try this one. Yes. And I'm a programmer since 2007. So what is l'ETL? It's a cooperative company where all employees are also associates, and the company is actually owned by its employees themselves. So we take all the decisions together. We have a booth here in the API Days, so come by if you want more information. And we are present in France, but also abroad. Let me just ask a quick question. Who here is using API platform? Okay, lots of newcomers, that's good. So the web in 2022, or soon 2023, right, is mostly about APIs. Why? Because we have cars, we have Internet of Things, we have all the company softwares, television, everything goes to Internet, the World Wide Web, and probably that there is an API in the middle. So, because it's at the heart of tomorrow's web, it is necessary to gain a central access to data, to encapsulate your business logic, and you have your features available everywhere on every device. And also, oh, I'm missing probably a slide. Here you can see that I also have another API right between the two, because when we use an API, probably that we want to call another API, and we need to maintain some kind of interoperability. So what is API platform? API platform is a toolbox that's built around APIs, and it's meant to design and to consume APIs. In this toolbox, there is first, and probably the most well-known part of API platform, what we call the API component. It's a PHP library that's based on Symfony, and that you can use to build your API. It's available on GitHub API platform/core. But within API platform, we have also other components. For example, we have a PHP model generator that's based on schema on RDF vocabularies and ontologies. I will come back to that later. There is also an auto-generated back office built in React Admin, which works on any API actually that implements OpenAPI or Hydra. We'll get back to that a bit later. And last but not least, we have this client generator, which generates, for example, a whole React application based on your API. So first, something I want to talk about, and that Kevin will go a bit into depth later, is search engine optimization. Using RDF vocabulary inside your API really improves referencing and natural referencing. JSON-LD, for example, allows you to have structured and standardized data that will help you to get this natural referencing. So here you have an example of JSON-LD, where you can see that Google, when the robot reads this, he can deduce that we are talking about the apple pie by grandma. And for example, here you can see that the prep time is right in our JSON, and you can find it in a human readable form later on. So if this subject interests you, be sure to stay at Kevin's conference later. So About that, I talked already twice about schema.org and this ontology. It's a vocabulary online for structured data that is really proposed and maintained by everyone, like you can think of that benefits from this data, for example, Google, Amazon, etc., right? So there is many types there, and you can use them if you want more structured data. So, as I told earlier, the web in 2023 is about APIs and also how to connect to other APIs. And for that usage, we need to use things like Hydra, which is a hypermedia format. I will get into the details. And you need also to be able to document your API so that others can discover it. And you need to allow this system to be kind of generic, to facilitate the reuse of data. So what about API platform? API platform implements all these technologies. JSON-LD enriched by Hydra is the default format that we provide in API platform. You also have access to JSON API, HAL, and GraphQL, which are other ways to exchange with an API. And it's self-documented using OpenAPI. So there are a bunch of talks here about OpenAPI, which we really like, and also Hydra, which is an extension of JSON-LD. Inside the API platform, we'll see a screenshot later. You have also a web documentation that reads the OpenAPI and shows you in a human-readable form. What you see below is a template, a Hydra template, that describes how your collection is, which is the first item, which is the last one, etc. So a computer can read this pretty easily. This is the example also about Hydra search. So this template describes to the computer, you can search in my API and you actually can filter by author, it's not required, or you can order the data. Back to OpenAPI. So who doesn't know about OpenAPI? Oh. So OpenAPI is a specification that allows you to document your API, and it's very strict in how it's written. It's really popular and supported by very large companies like Microsoft or Google. And inside API platform, we are using the latest 3.1 version. It's really developer friendly, and for example, if you are using Postman or tools like this, you can just take the OpenAPI, give it to the software, and it lists you all the available endpoints, etc. So let me show you maybe real quick. Yes, this is an example of the Swagger UI, which is based on OpenAPI. So it reads the OpenAPI and shows you all the endpoints and a capability to execute them, get the response, etc. So how does API platform works? To install it, you have to go to GitHub, API platform. You download it. Hopefully you have Docker. You run Docker Compose up, and it's starting with everything pre-configured. Let's dive in and check out what we actually have from this Docker Compose up. The first page you see is this one. We welcome you and give you a bunch of links. So the first one, API, redirects to this documentation I just showed you. We have also an admin panel that's quite ready. And if you go on that, you will see that you get this, this view where you can actually create and edit all kind of stuff. There is one resource actually exposed on API platform, which is called greetings, and you can you have this back office that was pre-generated for you. we actually read the documentation and create the back office automatically. This React admin, this administration panel is built on top of React admin. It can read an Hydra documentation or an Open API documentation. So if you're not using API platform but you just want to use our admin component, it's totally possible. You just say, this is my Open API source, and it creates a back office. Entirely customizable, of course, and you can also find it on GitHub. This is a more complex example that you can find on demo.apiplatform.com, and you can see that we added a bunch of filters, we added a night mode, translation, and all kind of stuff. We actually did many customization of this tool for our clients, and they are usually pretty satisfied by it. So, what about the code? So, who knows how to code? Here? Almost everyone. We will try to keep this rather simple. In API platform, all you have to do is to declare a model. So the model is a PHP class, and we annotated it with this PHP attribute that says, this book is a resource. You can see that we also added an API property to specify some RDF resource description framework types on the property. And when we wrote the code, when we checked the Hydra documentation, it got updated, and you can find that we find our type that we specified earlier, and we also find the Hydra property type here. The description we wrote on our class can also be found in the description field. On this resource, you can also activate some kind of filters. So here we decided to add a search filter and an order filter. And when that's done, we also have validation where you just add this assertion that we'll highlight here. And automatically, we know that when we create a new book, if the ISBN is not of the correct format, there will be an error. All this is persisted using Doctrine. Doctrine is an ORM built in PHP, so we are totally compatible with this. And if you go and check the relations I have here, you can see that above I just said, yeah, I want to see all my employees that belong to an organization. And here API Platform is smart enough to say, okay, so employees has a relation to organization inside the Doctrine model, so it can find out how to get the data for you. And what about no code? Because this is a new fashion, right? If you want this previous class that you saw, I wrote it using the maker of Symfony, which is a command-line tool, and you just answer questions. And by answering question, you then get the model that is pre-written for you. It's quite nice, and we use it a lot to avoid writing boring code. So definitely possible to do APIs without coding. Last thing, I introduced it earlier, we have a client generator for APIs. So this is the same thing, it supports OpenAPI and Hydra. You can just run the command you have here, and it will generate a client for your API. So we support React Native, Next, Vue, and all kind of front-end frameworks. And as you can see, if you check on the right and the left, you will see that it gets live updated between a mobile application and a front-end React application. These two applications were created using one command, still absolutely no code, and we have the support of Mercure, who helps us get the data update live on all our clients. Mercure, if you're interested in how this works, I invite you to check mercure.rocks. It's a service that uses server-side events to just propagate updates in a live manner. So to go further with API platform, because this was really a small fraction of the capabilities it has, we have an embedded invalidation system. We have the support for GraphQL. We have obviously live updates, Kubernetes deployments for those who want to go really deeper. It's all open source and all already available when you install it. You can find many podcasts we do at Letiel, where we speak about API platform more in depth. And if you're interested, we really move forward on this edge-side APIs architecture that Kevin theorized in one of his talks. On the bottom, you have a French tweet that says that API platform is the PHP solution based on Symfony to develop complex solutions that are maintainable and really facilitate how we introduce web standards into APIs. Because it can be quite hard to do by hand, and we did it for you. If you need more information or any expert on that subject, we have a booth just left on the exit for Letiel. Don't hesitate to come and ask us questions. And last thing is that we organize an API platform conference in Lille in September, so mark the date if you are interested in that. And next we have Kevin that will speak to you about how to make money using JSON LD. So you will really get more into details of the surface we had here. Thank you so much for your attention, and sorry for the technical issues we had at the beginning.